Shut up and sit down.
Hell, you could say that 10,000 times and it still wouldn't be enough.
It fires me up, man.
I love it. Say it one more time.
Shake it back!
Does that feel good?
Yeah, it rhymes. They're both verbs. Awesome.
Why couldn't the bicycle stand up by itself? It was too tired. Haha. Yep. You are listening to the Dialed Podcast with Matt Legrand, Evan Price, Lance Hepler, and Jake Von Turing. That's a fact. Jack, enjoy.
I can't understand it, but I can't really stand them. Girls love cars cause harm to the planet. Don't you wanna take a joyride on my tandem? Huffy on a huffy, don't I look so handsome? Bikes, a bikes, they so nice, like priceless. Working on my calves, and triceps, and biceps. Right past the gas, stop the traffic lights. I get around without a driver's license. Hello, you walked in, farewell, I'm off in.
Hello, and welcome back to the Dialed Podcast. I am Jake Von During, and today I'm joined by Evan Price.
How is it going?
Yeah, Mr.
It's
Price.
going well. Mr. Matt Legrand.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? How are you guys doing today?
Yeah, welcome back, Matt, for another
Yeah,
one. And
absolutely.
let's see who else is. No, Lance Romance is in
Oh,
here.
God.
My name's Lance. Nice to meet you guys.
My name's Lance. I wear flannel.
I wear flannel.
Is he new? Is he new here?
He's new here.
Okay.
We used to have
it
a
is
guy.
Lance Romance in the house.
There he is. That's my boy.
There it is. There it is.
All
I remember
right.
this guy now. I remember him.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah,
good.
it's all coming back.
All right, since he was so subdued, I'm going to let him kick it off this week. Mr. Lance, backpedal
yeah.
for
Oh,
us.
I got nothing to talk about. That's not true.
Yeah.
It's never true.
It's cyclocross season. He's got things.
Yeah, I raced a few times again this last week.
I raced 12 times since we
I
last
raced
talked.
12 times since we last talked, and I have a problem. Yes. Actually, I had a really great week. I was kind of battling a cold a week before, and so it affected me more than I thought. But this week, I went out to the Portland Trophy Cup on Tuesday night and raced the Masters 1-2 field. And
Oh, hold on. Time out. Breaking news. I just got kudos from Brandy Hepler on Strava.
oh,
Yes.
that means Brandy is on her Strava at this very moment.
Oh, there's another one. She gave me another one.
Oh,
Look at that.
no.
Oh, your wife's blowing me up.
Oh, man. Oh, my gosh, Lance. Does she give you kudos on your rides?
She does.
She does?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Sorry about that. Now back to your
I
regularly
love it.
scheduled Lance Romance backpedal.
Love it. So I raced the Portland Trophy Cup, the Tuesday night race, and there are fun and fast races. And I raced the Masters 1-2 field, and it was a bit crazy. Right halfway through the first lap, I'm right on a guy's wheel, and he went down, and I ran right into him.
Oh,
Did you catch air?
Boom.
I did
Boom.
not catch air.
Dang
I hit him with my tire right in the butt.
Okay, that's tough.
So, just boom, just
impressive.
hit him right in the butt. His name was Brian Kesselman. He's actually
guy,
kind of
yeah.
a legend mountain biker around here.
So when you hit him, did you stop or did you keep going?
No, I kind of went down too, and I'm like, Brian, I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh. And he's like, it's all good, but he was done.
Gotcha.
He burped his wheel, and I ran, and so
Take us back when
So
home.
so I'm in second place after running into the guy, and I'm blazing 2 laps later, and I go over a barrier, and I botched my remount.
okay.
I actually missed my seat. When I went to jump back on my seat, I missed it. I landed on my rear wheel.
Okay.
Oh, you missed backwards.
Yeah, I missed backwards.
Right.
Like-
I'm not sure how I did
That's
that.
impressive.
Were you clipped in with just dragging?
No, I had not clipped in yet.
Right,
I was
right.
flying through the air and trying to land on my seat,
Yeah.
and just fully landed
Parts
on
and
my rear
pieces
wheel.
didn't slide down between the seat stay and the wheel, did they?
But there was a guy right on my tail, and I went down to the side, and he ran right over the top of me. So it was full on karma race.
This is payback karma, yeah.
Yep. So he gets out ahead of me. So I'm riding in third, and he's got his head down trying to gap me, and he doesn't see a barrier.
Oh.
He actually drilled it with his front tire.
Oh, jeez.
So
you have to be looking down pretty.
it was dark. He wasn't riding with the
that's right.
light.
That's right.
And
Okay.
he was just looking down
I
at the
forget
wrong
that those
time.
are evening.
And so he drills the barrier anyway. So
Is he okay?
He's okay.
'Cause that's a lot harder than hitting a butt cheek.
No, I know.
In the last couple, 5-6 days, it started getting darker a lot earlier right now, so I don't blame them. It's been
much darker.
Yeah, like by 7 p.m. it's basically bedtime now.
Yeah. And then it's just this month, and I think time changes in early November.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Yep.
it's gonna be a dark month.
Anyway, I ended up holding on for second place after that. So which was
That's
great
awesome.
in the Masters 1-2 field. There, there's only 15 or 16 guys racing, but
We only count wins here. We only count wins.
So I did not win.
And your standing in the series is?
I'm in second for the series.
That's awesome.
For the
And that-
Masters 1-2 field.
For the Masters 1-2.
Yeah.
God, do you remember we were sitting here not that long ago talking about like, oh, let's see, do you think you're going to be able to be competitive and be up there?
Right.
I'm gonna fall off the back of
Yeah.
each race.
Well-
it's not gonna be fun.
The guys in third and fourth did not race, and they are both faster than me.
Right.
Okay.
So the guys in third and fourth did not race on Tuesday night, so that makes a
So
difference.
how has your training looked like during this cyclocross season? Because you've been racing so much. Is your
haven't-
training basically racing
Yes.
right now?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
It's kind of weird.
That's awesome.
If you're racing 3 times a week, which I have been,
Yeah. Your
I'm-
training days are recovery days,
yes,
right?
I'm
Yeah.
just like recovering on those off days.
You just recovering on the road bike spinning around?
Yeah.
Or? Okay.
Yeah.
And you've ridden with the wife a couple times.
I have, gone out with the wife
perfect.
a few times, which has been great.
She's going to start like blowing you up on your recovery days here if you're not careful.
She's actually faster than she thinks.
Yeah.
She can.
Don't let her figure that out.
I know.
Your recovery rides are not going to be recovery rides if she figures that out.
So yeah, I'm kind of stoked that I'm second in the series. There's one more race this Tuesday evening, and once this podcast comes out, we'll know where I end up. If those two guys both show up, and I'm assuming they will, for me just to stay on the podium, I have to like place 6th or better or something like that. Which
You could do that.
It's possible, but it's
Same old, just race.
Yep, just gonna go out and race and go. So tons of fun.
Nice.
The next night,
The very next
the
night.
very next night was Blind Date at the Dairy Cyclocross Race Series. It's the Wednesday night series, and this time I raced the Masters 2-3 field, and man, I don't know. I took the win that night.
What?
Yeah.
That's what
1
I'm
and
talking
2
about.
in the week.
Wow.
That's solid.
Yeah,
That's solid.
So I was really happy. There's 4 or 5 guys that have all handily beaten me before, but that night,
How do you have the legs to continue to I don't think I've ever consistently raced back-to-back nights. You've been
They're-
doing that over the last couple weeks.
they're 50-minute races.
Oh, that's true.
They're not long races. They're 45-minute races, so it's not so bad. So,
Yeah.
Anyway,
Still.
so that was fun.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I did.
Boom.
I think I did see that on Strava, but I think it's nice for me to like learn about your week on the podcast so that I can be like, whoa, what?
Yeah, right.
Genuine
Actually,
surprise.
yeah.
Actually, didn't get a very good start. I was 8th or 9th to the first corner and
Ooh.
sat in like 5th or 6th position after the whole first lap. But there was one straightaway where I just
Got up and went.
got up and went, and I got around everybody, which I was surprised, and then nobody went with me. So.
Do you feel like it's harder to be in 4th or 5th, or than being up front?
Yes.
And out front because you
If
like
you're
line
out,
of sight and all
yes.
this stuff, right?
If you're out front, I can pick my line for every
Yeah.
corner, unless you're dealing with traffic, and you can get lost in lap traffic too.
Yeah.
So, which,
It
Right.
becomes really easy to become complacent just following the guys well in front
yeah,
of you.
right. I'm going to stay here until, right. So,
I think even at the 1-2 level right now, Lance, I think those massive weeks that you were putting in
Yeah.
during the summer are now paying off because I think that you have more race. You definitely have more threshold endurance than probably anybody that you're racing. Like nobody else was putting in those miles.
I don't know. I mean,
Maybe some of the one guys, but not the
well, these weeknight series aren't as big as the weekend races because I haven't talked
Yeah.
about my weekend races yet.
Oh boy, how'd that go?
So, the weekend race, I did Heiser Farms. It's the last race in a 5-race series, and I went out to race the open 2-3 field. So a lot bigger field, 40 or 50 racers in it, and there was and the open 2-3 field means any 2, any 3, any age, and we have. A bunch of 20-year-olds who are super fast, and a 15-year-old who is super fast, and a 13-year-old who is super fast, in those divisions. So I had no expectations. I went out there and just hammered, but I ended up 8th out of 40 or 50 or however many were there.
Did the 13-year-old win?
He wasn't there, but the 15-year-old was there, and he beat me by 4 minutes. He completely smoked me. Who is a teammate? It's Hayden Weirman. He's a teammate of ours, and he won handily.
Somebody go tell the Cannondale development team. Honestly, is he getting looked at?
This is his like coming out year. I mean, he
In
raced last year.
Yeah.
He'll go race nationals this year, and he might turn some heads. So we're going to do everything we can to support the kid and like get him to the next level, because we obviously don't have that next level offering. But whatever we can do to get the kids some exposure, we're going to do.
There's some good development teams out there in the U.S. for cyclocross right now. Like that Cannondale team. I raced with a kid who now rides with them.
They're all back in Massachusetts or something.
Yeah, they're way out there.
Well, what about road development stuff? Would he be interested in that, or is he he's a cyclocross guy?
Like
No, he raced everything this year.
Raced everything.
Yeah,
He did road, mountain, and cyclocross. And I think cyclocross or mountain biking are probably like his favorites.
Yeah.
But he excels at road racing, and he likes it. And so
we should bring him on at some point. That would be cool to hear a 15-year-old's perspective with that kind of speed.
Yeah. Could be interesting.
He's a good kid, straight A student, super smart, really kind and sweet and respectful. He's a class kid.
I've never seen the kid
awesome.
one time in the couple of years that I've known him get upset
No.
at a single thing. He's never had anything less than a smile on his face and happy things to say. It's almost uncanny. So
yeah, that's a good kid. So I was completely fine getting smoked by.
Yeah, that's
Hayden.
okay.
Yeah, I was just happy that I was in 8th, and there were 4 of us who were battling for that 5th through 8th position, which I did not.
You lost.
I lost the battle between, but it was fun to race younger guys. So that was cool. I finished that race and was pretty smoked, and then I sat around in the team tent for about half an hour, and people kept coming up to me saying, "Hepler, come race this Masters 1-2 race too." And I'm like, dude, I just raced the 2-3 race. I'm not going to go race again. And I totally caved and went and raced the 1-2 race as well.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all.
I'm like, okay.
You got to get your 12 races per weekend.
Gotta get the quota.
So,
all right.
Yeah, right. So I lined up, and I had like 0 expectations for that race. It was really fun lining up for that race, thinking, okay, I've got, whatever happens here. If I get dead last, who cares? If I don't finish this race, who cares? I already raced hard. So that was kind of fun. But I beat 10 guys.
Nice. Yeah.
So
sometimes you have your best races when you're just like low expectations, low pressure, and you just
fatigued.
go race.
My lap times were 8 or 9 seconds slower per lap in that second race. So it was a longer race. It was a 60-minute race instead of a 45-minute race.
So you raced at threshold for basically 2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
Slept well that night.
Yeah.
Oh my
I was licked. Yeah.
Jeez.
So then I'm driving home thinking, I'm just going to take a nap and go sit in the hot tub. And my wife texts me saying, "Hey, we're going to the Timbers game, so get home right now." Oh. So
you need like compression pants or something like
I need
that.
to
You
be
really
wearing
do.
my compression pants.
That and drinking a smoothie or something.
Anyway, see, look, I've talked for how many? I've already talked for 15
No, I love this.
minutes.
This is like nobody has like this high of race.
but
Like
none of us are racing.
Me and Matt have like 12 races a year to talk about.
Right.
Lance has 12 last week to talk about.
I know.
It was a lot. So,
Nice.
Anyway,
It's awesome.
All
that's enough
right.
for me.
Best cyclocross season ever.
It's been fantastic for me. It really has.
That's awesome.
Yeah, my back is holding up.
I'm so gonna force you to do
Yeah.
some road in the 3s with me.
Yeah.
God, I'm so forcing you to do that.
There we go. Evan, backpedal for us.
This last week and leading into this week has been kind of my first section of the block
really?
of training right now. Yeah, I've got a 6-month block before I race my first race.
6-month block sounds so long.
That'll be just long enough. I feel like I need 6 months of fitness, I'm sure. So
So you go from close to 0 to what, like 20 hours a week?
So
Is it less than that,
just
or
to
15?
like I don't really mind talking specifics on this stuff actually,
Yeah, you
because
don't have to,
it's so not a specific formula for me now that I'm coaching myself again. It's
Okay.
so I'm doing this last week was 18 hours of actually some pretty good quality. This week
Right.
will be 21 or 22,
Okay.
and then I'll be sitting in the mid 20s for a while.
Okay.
With every 4 or 5 weeks, I'll take a down week.
Every 4 or 5. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that'll depend on just legs. Like if
Mhm.
I need to take it at the 4th week, I'll take it at the 4th week. But yeah, it'll be fun. I'm definitely riding with a lot of roadies this year.
Good.
Me, Dustin, and David went on a good ride. Dustin being a local Cat 1 track cyclist, which is everything that he does well is what I don't do well, which is great.
It's good to ride with
It's
them.
good to ride with those guys. Yeah.
Yeah, David Goodman's riding strong, so
He is,
I like David so much.
He's
so
come
fun to
along
ride with.
so well in the past like 2
He has.
years, basically. It's awesome, and it's all like the group ride stuff.
Yep.
He's gotten fast.
Yeah.
He is. He's very calculated in how he trains.
I
and
wish I could
rides.
ride with you guys.
You can.
I can, but
We've
I mean,
got
it's only for a mile and a half. And
we've been trying to get a lot of climbing in definitely, which I like because then I can stay with Dustin, which is wonderful. But well, there's so much good climbing on this side of the river.
Yes.
Through like you go up into Battleground, you go east.
Yep.
There's plenty of climbing.
Yep.
It's like everywhere you go, you can find good, solid 6-7K in like a 60-70 mile ride.
You can ride out my front door
Yeah.
and do 10,000
You
feet
can-
of climbing.
You can ride in Jake's neighborhood and get 10,000 feet of climbing.
We've
if
done
you
it the
want.
last few years. So
we need to talk about that.
yeah, that's something that'll be coming up. The Prune Hill
Be a
10K.
fun- Yes. Yes.
I won't be able to do it,
We
but
have
I'd love to host it. Yeah.
establish how we're going to do it, but yeah, we have to do it.
That's such an awesome ride. I mean, there are not many people who can say in their neighborhood they can put together 10K of climbing.
Maybe Lance Romance will get himself a tandem bike, put in his collection of bikes, and I'll go ride Stoker for him.
Yeah,
Just
there
push
you
the
go.
pedals.
There you go.
Tando.
That's really not fair, though, to have Jake on the back of your tandem. Yeah.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
Could be interesting.
Yeah.
All
But,
right.
yeah, that's basically going to be my week updates for a little bit. It's just going to be consistent.
and,
training.
and I'm gonna be similar,
Lots of
right?
swimming.
It's like, swimming. You know, what do you say about swimming, right? You live staring at a black line, and
It's
every once
super
in a while
exciting
you
to talk
flip.
about, isn't it?
It's wet.
Yeah,
it's
it
wet.
is.
Wet, yeah.
It's a lot like
And,
cyclocross.
I had a really cool workout on Thursday. You were working, but I should have invited some of you guys or whatever it was. But Robbie Halterman, who he owns like a PT studio, and it's called Movement Revolutions. We probably talked about it on this podcast before, but it's fantastic. You can Google it and check out the website and learn all about it. But he and I were talking on the phone, just catching up because we hadn't talked in a long time.
Robbie's
And,
awesome. Yeah.
and I was like, well, I need to go out for a ride or whatever. Thursday's weather's looking good. He's like, yeah. And then we were randomly talking about like, hey, what if we put on a free triathlon, early summer, like just let anyone that wants to do it, whatever it is, like probably not a lot of like traffic control or anything like that, but like, what can we do to help people in the community? And I was telling him my idea or whatever it was. And I was like, why don't we just go do this on Thursday? Why don't we just go do this triathlon? And he was like, yeah, okay. And I'm like, really? Halterman's up for Robbie Halterman's up for anything.
He is up for anything.
He's up for
yes.
anything at any time, which is super awesome. And I was like, but are you sure? He was like, yeah, no, let's do it. And I was like, but the water, it's gonna be really cold. It's turning into fall weather here. And lo and behold, then that morning I'm like, are you still in for this? I'm really uncertain about the water. And he's like, yeah, I'll see you there at 10:30. I was like, okay. So we get to the water and check out the water, and it was cold, but it was fine. Like we swam.
Yeah.
We didn't swim a ton. I swam like a mile, and then got out, and it was whenever you're out on the open water, it's so beautiful. Like even you non-swimmers or all the people listening to this podcast, you guys would love it because you're just you're out there. Especially at Fallen Leaf Lake, there's no one else out there. You have the whole place to yourself, and you're kind of surrounded by forests and big trees and stuff like that, and you're just on the water. It's beautiful. But we got out, and I wanted to check out, like, hey, what if you had to run kind of up this trail a quarter mile to find the transition points? So we went through all this process. We ran up there, hopped on the bikes, and went for a bike ride. And I wanted to kind of go like 20-ish. I was like, and then in the middle of the ride, I'm like, what's a sprint distance? Because I should know this, right? I've been doing triathlon for like 8 years. And he's like, it's only like 12 miles. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I was thinking we needed more miles than that. So we did, we ended up doing like 15 miles, and we went up over Forest Home, and I'm climbing that hill with Robbie. I'm like, no one's going to want to do this triathlon if we did like,
over Forest Home.
Right. No one's
You,
going to. Well,
you could put a ton from where Fallen Leaf is. You could put a ton of climbing into a bike leg there if you wanted to.
yeah,
You just
it'd be-
climb into Jake's neighborhood, basically.
It's just that's the thing. Is like, I'm trying to avoid traffic because obviously we wouldn't have any traffic control if we did a free triathlon.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, we could go up over Forest Home, then we could drop in, we could do some flat stuff. The more I was out there, the more I was like, no one would do this. No one.
I would.
we would, right? Like we'd think it was the greatest thing ever, but like
you might be surprised.
No normal people.
You might be surprised. Maybe people would want to jump in.
We give them like a 20% discount on the free triathlon.
Yeah.
Sign me up. Sorry about the hills. Here's a 20% coupon code.
We could even challenge the cycling team to be like, don't worry, we'll make the bike course really hard.
Yeah.
You just got to survive the swim. You just got to float around for the swim and make it through.
And then we went for a 3-mile run on the trails, which again, these trails are like super technical and like you're climbing. Halterman was like just cursing my name, and
the trails around Round Lake,
Fallen Leaf,
which are steep switchbacks.
They're harder than the Round Lake trails, I think. So it was beautiful. I mean, perfect weather, perfect day, and I was like, filming stuff too, because you guys, if you've listened to this podcast, I do like YouTube stuff, and Halterman was just a trooper. He was like, okay, wait, you want me to like. You want me to run back and forth in front of the camera 2 more times? Okay. And I was like, dude, aren't you like going to kill me or something? He was like, no, it's cool. It's like, I'm fine with it. I was like, okay. And I was like, all right, we'll do it again.
Robbie is always down for like a hard day, which I think is why people like him so much, is because he's so positive with anything like that, which is great.
Yeah. And then I thought
that's what these sports are all about, is doing hard workouts and actually having people that enjoy them around you.
It was pretty cool. Yeah. So we had a super awesome day on Thursday. And then Saturday, cross-country invites are always tricky. We had this huge Nike race.
A special one, yeah.
And, so we have kids coming from all over the kids coming from all over the country to go to this race or whatever. We have kids from New York City, a lot of kids from California. And our team is good, not like that I'm going to brag about how great my team is, but they're excellent. They finished like second in the big race, our guys did. But every year I do this workout where you're running on the infield of like a horse track, the Portland Meadows horse track. Oh. It's really cool. So every year I do the same workout. I'm like that guy that's just like, do you want to do the same course again? Yes, I do. Like, I'm so boring. Like, any of my friends that have run with me over the years are like, oh yeah, Matt is super boring to run with. He does the same thing over and over again all the time. Anyway, I do the same workout every year. And so it's like, I came here to this thing and I'm like, I got to do the same workout. And I haven't, if you guys have listened to this podcast, I've talked about how my running's not going that well or whatever it is. And I was just like, well, I have to do it. Like, I do this every year. Like, I have to do it. So I did 3 times a mile. Because you have a mile, it's basically a loop around the horse track, and it's a mile. Mm-hmm. So you do 3 times a mile. It actually went pretty well. I was pretty pleased. It's similar to other years, which it's good for not training, and kind of like 6 minute basically, or sub 6 or whatever.
That's good.
Yeah, it's fine. It's not great, but it's not bad at all. And
for this time of year,
yeah. And then other than that, weekly Backpedal, I've been using the Kicker Core and getting some painful bike workouts in, and those are disheartening.
That thing is so hard.
It's just like
it's so honest. I hate how honest it is. It needs to be less honest.
I'm looking at the watts and stuff, and it's so
indoor watts
depressing.
Are always less.
I shouldn't even be allowed to say this around Jake because he's coming back from injury and all this stuff.
But Jake will be pushing good watts in like 2 weeks. This is a problem you and me are gonna have forever. So.
I was just looking, and I'm like, it was kind of like this tempo workout, and I'm like. Hitting like I shouldn't tell these numbers on the air, but it's like 220, and I'm like, why am I hurting? Like, this is not good. And it's like you kind of want to cry a little bit. It's really sad. And I guess you got to get through those workouts.
Yeah.
To hopefully get back to normal.
You give up that running and swimming stuff, it feels so much better.
Just like so much better. Just cry through a couple months, and then it'll be better. Just cry through the winter.
I know it's gonna be, and then I get off every time I get off, and my wife's like, "How was the workout?" And I'm like, "I got a lot of work to do. I got a lot of work to do." So it's had some ups and downs this week.
Yeah.
But that's my Backpedal. Good week.
As we slowly have a triathlon takeover, we should. Organize our own little
help me.
Triathlon
that course that you talked about. We should definitely do some like repeats on that at some point.
This is like October now, and we could open water swim. It's ridiculous. I know. Like I kind of want to just steal you and take you and do that course.
We should do it.
Yeah, even if we do it super easy and chill. I mean, it'd be fun.
I'm not going to do it.
So yes,
I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, you're in.
I'm not doing it.
It's too bad. You're in.
Can I ride a skateboard on the trails?
Yes, you can.
Oh, absolutely.
Instead of running.
Yeah, you're not afraid to fall down. Anyway, so, but definitely triathlon takeover. We have the Kona World Championships coming up and stuff like that. So we definitely need to talk about taking over the podcast. All of you cyclists that are listening, Be prepared.
He swam really fast, then he rode his bike really fast, and then he got off the bike and he ran really fast and he won.
There you go.
Just film the guy's name and it's over.
Film the guy's name. Yeah.
We'll be able to talk about that for like 5 hours of detail. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Jake, backpedal.
Jake's actually got fun back pedals. He's got some
Fun?
important stuff going on.
Oh,
he
geez.
does. This is important stuff.
It's like quite the opposite, my friend. I did get my immobilizer off.
Whoa.
That's big.
I wore that stupid thing for almost 4 months.
Yeah.
Almost 4 months, you guys. That is a long time to be in one of those damn things.
When are we going to light it on fire?
As soon as he says that I do not need it ever, because I don't want to pay for damage. But
like, I already burned that.
I've got this another possible surgery coming up in is it December? And if anything should happen between now and then, he wants me to go back in it. I don't want to say I burned it.
Sorry, Doc. No can do.
We ran over that with our mountain bikes, and it's in rough shape.
Shot it with the shotgun.
Yeah. Let me show you which canister it's in. It's here's what the immobilizer looks like now.
Yeah. But that's off, which is great. However, I have this like appendage that just is worthless. It just kind of comes along for the ride and hangs there and doesn't do anything. So I'm non-weight bearing with it. I'm not allowed to pick anything up with it for 6 weeks. So it just kind of, like I said, comes along for the ride. Like when you walk and your arms sway back and forth, it doesn't even do that. It's like it's totally worthless. It's like slowing me down. But so where'd we go? We were at the store or something like that over the weekend, and I didn't have it on, but I just kind of put my hand in my pocket of my little hoodie and just let it hang out there so it doesn't like knock in anything or get in anybody's way. So yeah, that's about that for that. And then aside from that, watch some more great kids soccer. That's
nice.
I don't know the title of my weekends anymore. It's just like soccer.
Absolutely.
And been riding on Zwift. That's about it.
Good. So, how's that going?
Third week back to riding now?
Third? Yeah, I started into my third week of the structured training. I did my Saturday ride again, which is kind of like my open free ride where I kind of push it a little bit. I'm still not there volume wise in terms of time, but I like to replicate what a team ride would feel like. So putting in some more semi-structured efforts in there. So I did it was a 22-minute climb on their Innsbruck.
The World Championship course.
Yeah, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And they've got their climb on that. So I just put a 22-minute effort in on that, and Zwift gave me a new
FTP.
FTP.
Tough climb on that thing.
Oh,
I did that thing over the weekend.
Yeah,
that was a tough climb.
So I did that. I think I finished it in like 22 minutes, which is still like it put me in the top 5 for the people that were on there at the time, which isn't like it could have been anybody. The fastest guy I think was like 19 minutes, so I was still 3 minutes behind him, but. So it was like a 22-minute effort there, and then I did another 10-minute effort, and then some other little things. But Zwift assigned me a new FTP that I had bumped down pretty low because I was trying to guesstimate where it was. That was kind of nice. So getting closer to the 300 land, which is good. So.
There you go.
Damn it,
I know.
Damn
I think
Jake.
Matt had 4 months to have a higher FTP, and it's going to slowly go away now.
No, I'm not in the 300s.
I'm not there yet either. I'm about 2 watts away, so 2 or 3 watts away.
Okay, so I'm good. So I'll be fine then.
Still got plenty of time. Yeah, you still got plenty
tons
of time.
Plenty of time. So yeah, other than that, it was just another week of kind of just getting through life and figuring things out and trying to get healthy.
All right.
Not
The
too
climb
exciting.
back. The climb.
The long climb.
The long climb back.
Yeah. All right. Our first discussion of this podcast is going to be regarding an article that was actually sent over to our board of directors and some other people within OBRA from our executive director, Chuck Keelan. And the article is titled The Wicked Problem Road Cycling Faces. And we can post the link to this article once the podcast is up. I promise I'll get that done so you guys can actually read something from us. But it basically just runs through a bunch of stuff that road cycling is facing right now. And I wanted us to discuss all of these things. They've got quite a few different topics on there. And, where we think we can as, athletes and cyclists and people that are a part of that community where we can help. And I'm also curious, does this transcend into other disciplines such as triathlon? And what is it that we need to be thinking about? How can we start to spur some conversation or start to make some moves and be proactive about helping fix some of these issues so that we can keep our sports alive and healthy? So just going to kind of kick this around, and we'll get started with the first one that they titled here that talks about teams. Do you guys have anything to say about that?
Me and Lance were talking about this. I wanted to. So according to this article, Dialed would be considered a big team. So
yeah,
we're an over 100-person team by quite a bit now.
Yeah,
and with the rate of growth definitely going to be what I think would be considered a very, very large team in the region.
And so what they're basically saying is that a lot of the bigger teams that help grow and support and nurture, cyclists to come out and learn the ropes and to get involved in cycling and over the course of time become stronger, more proficient athletes that they can race at higher levels. These teams are starting to die off, and they're kind of a dying breed. And
there's not many big teams, local big teams anymore.
Yeah. And I would agree with that. There's not too many big teams. There's some good teams that are still around, but there's not a lot of big teams.
Some of the smaller teams that are just elite riders or that are just masters riders.
Yeah.
You're not fostering anything. You're not developing anything.
No,
so where does somebody that's just trying to break into racing or just getting excited about riding a bike and thinks, I want to check out this racing thing, where do they go to learn from other people?
Well, they in my opinion, they go to a team like Dialed. I mean, I'm really not trying to be a homer right now, but when you're talking about that exactly, how many guys do we know on the team that a year and a half ago had just started racing, and now are guys banging on the 3's door, moving up through the 4's? I'm thinking of 10 in my head right now, like that.
Since we've been around for almost 2 years now. It'll be 2 years at the end of the season. The start of this 2019 season will be our third season, and we've amassed over 100 people on the team, and I'd say probably 25 to 30% of that had never raced before. And now you've got guys that just today we saw people getting their upgrades that were sent out by Oregon Bicycle Racing Association. They're going from 5s to 4s or 4s to 3s. And
there's even people on the triathlon team now who I've been talking to and are ready to make the transition over this year or next year. So I mean it's exciting.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
Why is it that a team would want to be so specialized though? Why would you? I mean, I guess it's like to each his own, and there's going to be something out there for everybody. But why is it that there are fewer teams that are bigger that are able to foster the environment that people would need to come into to become a better, more proficient bike racer, whether it be road or cyclocross or mountain or anything?
Yeah. Is it a lack of leadership at the top? Because I mean, for these big teams, you need good leadership. Like that's the biggest thing. There's got to be good leadership at the top. Is there just not enough?
Well, think about how much work it is.
Yeah, it's a ton of work. Think about the work that Jake puts in on a weekly basis.
I know. It's
tons of hours.
Ridiculous. Yeah,
it does add up, but I mean, it is rewarding at the end of the day. But it doesn't all have to land on the shoulders of one person. If you get the nucleus right, if you get the core people right, and you can build a little board of directors for your team, and then you just come up with a clear mission and a clear vision of what it is that you're going to set out to do, you can do good stuff. And it doesn't have to be one of these things that completely overwhelms you and it overtakes your entire schedule. You can make it be, somewhat serviceable, somewhat easy for you to build and grow. Yeah. I think for me personally, a lot of it comes back to, well, why even join a team? I mean, what is somebody like Obra doing for teams? And if you ask me,
that's a good point.
They're not doing much, and that saddens me. And that's the drum that I've been beating ever since I came on to Obra. And it was funny when this article came out. The first thing on there is teams, and the fact that you're losing these bigger teams that are bringing all these people in, or that are helping the sport on a whole. And what is it that we as Obra are doing to grow these teams? Other than taking $100 a year from them to sign up to be a team within Obra, there's not much else that comes along. And they've got the team bar competition, which we're very keen on winning. That was our goal at the beginning of the year. And in order for you to go find out where that competition's at, it's like 5 or 6 clicks deep, buried in the Obra website, and who knows about it? I mean, that should be front and center, and it should be something where if you create this competition amongst teams to see who the best team's going to be, and put some sort of carrot out there at the end of the whole competition, other than just like a nice little trophy, you're going to get these teams, because you know what? This is a group of competitive people. So you've got to put this front and center and have these teams chase after this. And then the teams are naturally going to better organize themselves. They're going to bring more people into the competition, and they're going to try and make themselves be the most competitive team out there and go out there and win as many races as possible.
So I think what this article was getting at too, when it's defining wicked. So when it's talking about the wicked problem, it's talking about a problem that in its nature is multifaceted and very, very difficult to address at its core. Yeah. So I think not only we can talk about what Obra needs to do, what local bike shops need to do. Maybe they need to get more active in supporting big teams. Because I mean, I remember there was a time where like each big team main sponsor was a bike shop.
Yeah.
I don't see that as much anymore. I'm not sure if that's still around or if that has slowly started to disappear.
Here's the problem with that, because a lot of that ends up being that shop has to give them significant discounts. They're probably kicking in some sponsorship money. And you know what? Bike shops fighting the internet this day and age, there's not a lot of there's not a lot of room for profit there, and it really makes it difficult for them to basically grow and flourish. So,
and then if you sponsor one team, you know, what's that do to the rest of the market where you're like, oh, no, that's the Bike Works team.
That's true.
Like,
that's
I'm
true.
not going to go to that shop. That's our competitor, you know, like you don't want to play
I mean,
favorites.
the goal long term would be that each shop would be able to make a big team, but also you got to have the riders, and that's maybe just we don't have the riders right now. But I think the reason we don't have the riders is much more of a societal problem than purely a cycling problem.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think you're looking at society's going two ways right now. We are getting people competing at higher levels of amateur sports than ever seen before. We see that me and Matt talk about that in triathlon all the time. There are amateurs going speeds that pros weren't going 20 years ago. And we are seeing it the other way where people are becoming amazingly more sedentary in their lifestyles.
Oh, yeah.
You can order groceries to your house, virtual reality, and work from home. There are people who never leave their homes.
Can we blend
now.
those together where I can like virtually be eating a pizza right now?
I think we joke about that. That's going to be a couple years away, I'm sure. And that's
I could build that app.
But I mean, we have these two divergent groups now, and unfortunately, I think the active competitive group is a much smaller group.
Oh, yeah.
Now it's a group doing great things. There's amazing people in there, but that's not a big portion of society.
Yeah.
And I think things like competitiveness, Jake mentioned competitiveness, like how do we make this, we got these team events, these competitive natured people, I want to be there. I look at my generation, people in their 20s. I'm not trying to talk down people in their 20s, but I'm going to for a second. We're not a driven competitive group of people right now. We just aren't. I don't know why, but like we're not like I would say people in their 40s, 50s, there's still a competitive drive that I see. I don't see as much of that with kids in their 20s right now. I don't know. That's like a bigger societal problem, I know, but I see too many complacent people in my generation.
Well, there's different things, right? Like we didn't have the internet as much growing up, right? Mm-hmm. So then you have that like there's two sides to that coin, right? Like I saw with running, like as the internet came around, people were starting to compare times more. So that higher in competitiveness, like you said, kind of that top percentile, like exploded, got way, improved quite a bit. You had people on breaking records, high school records that have never been touched for 30 years. That stuff was starting to come around again. But then the flip side of that coin is you have the internet. So there's so much more entertainment besides like I'm gonna go run
or ride
my bike.
That's another point that this article brought up about the internet, about digital competition.
Right.
It can be taking away some from actual road racing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where with Strava, which we love and love being a part of, you can get your competition fix just by racing yourself or the other people who have historically done this segment on Strava. With Zwift, which is a wonderful tool to get your winter and indoor training in, there's races on Zwift.
Every day.
Every day.
If Justin Wagner was here, he would tell you about that and how they even have like indoor racing that's certified, so that you're not just in your house anymore. Like you can go to, these facilities and have these races, but you're still doing indoor cycling racing. It's pretty interesting.
And that's the point that this article, I know we're jumping way ahead in this article, but it does make that point is that taking away from what do we call the real life racing? Is that what we're going to call
IRL.
it? Yeah, IRL, yeah.
And then I'm sure this wasn't within the article. It's like traffic, right? Where it's like,
it's in there. Distracted driving.
Texting
and driving. Keeping some people off, the roads.
That's huge.
Yeah.
I think it's huge.
I would agree.
Yeah.
All of us, I know Lance is probably not the one person to talk to. Like, all of us should be scared out there on the road for sure of people texting. Like, it drives me to go bike inside.
Yeah.
Like, I could go bike at 4 a.m, but, or the real times that I try to avoid is like 5 o'clock traffic. And, it's just like, there's a lot of crazies out there.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of societal problems with us riding on the road in general. I mean, there's people that just can't stand the thought of seeing a cyclist on the side of the road for a myriad of different reasons, and they're driving distracted with their phones, and we don't want to interact with that. So it's chasing roadies off the road to try other things because they don't want to end up dead or hurt, severely hurt. So, I mean, that's why you have the likes of, gravel riding and gravel racing are exploding right now. So
in cyclocross too, right? I mean,
that's another, I mean, I know a lot of these articles talking about the problem with road cycling have this negative overtone over last. I mean, when I was at Interbike, there was definitely a negative overtone to the discussions they were talking with road cycling. Mm-hmm. But I mean, just like you said, that is maybe giving way to a huge explosion of gravel racing and an increase in cyclocross in America.
It just sucks though, because riding your bike on the road is fun, and it can be a lot of fun. And racing your bike on the road is a lot of fun, and it's just unfortunate that there are so many there's so many different issues or things that you have to be thinking about that can make everything go sideways so quickly.
Yeah.
It's truly unfortunate, and I can definitely see that being a reason why people are getting off their road bike and they're doing other things, and then they're not falling out of love with racing the road bike, but they're just finding other things like, well, I'm not riding my road bike as much. I'm going to go try out this gravel grinding series, or I'm going to go do this cyclocross series. I'm going to try some mountain biking because I don't want to get hit by a car.
Or worse, like, I haven't ridden my road bike in 2 weeks. I'm going to go to cyclocross with my buddy who keeps bugging me to go to, not cyclocross. I'm going to get I was thinking of CrossFit, right? So
CrossFit.
Well, I'm just thinking like, okay, what are the other draws to athletics?
Besides... CrossFit in their last games had a criterium. Did anybody else see that here?
What?
They had a criterium. Now, don't get me wrong. There were actually 2 guys there who were technical riders. They said that year they knew it was going to be in there, and they did some bike racing. But holy crap. I mean, okay.
I think I did see a clip
if we're going to label these guys as the fittest in the world, there were guys on their bikes there that looked like they could barely ride a bicycle.
It was
it was so bad looking. And I love the announcers. Like they're like introducing drafting like it's this amazing thing. They're just like you can see Harry slipping behind him there. You can put out 30 less watts right there, 30% less watts. Anyway, that was way off track, but yeah.
No,
Circling this back to just teams in general, I think that there's a lot that can be done there that teams can do, and I think that we can talk about that a little bit more in the future. Let's kick on to the next topic that they have here with events and promoters, and they're talking about how there's been a shift from the clubs and teams putting on the races to now actually having race directors from racing organizations that are putting it on, and the things that they're being put up against to make this happen. So the biggest thing that kind of shocked me is if you read through this and start to look at the numbers, the cost. Oh my Lord, the cost to put on a race.
Shutting down those courses is so expensive.
It's absolutely insane. And I know that here in the Portland Pacific Northwest area, it's the same problems. I mean, they're maybe not quite as astronomical as some of these, but the promoters are up against. You have their backs up against the wall to try and break even, let alone make a few bucks for the time that they're putting into these. A lot of these race promoters, it's a gamble for them, whether or not the race makes money or not. And sometimes they're losing money, sometimes they're making a couple bucks, and they're putting in gobs and gobs of hours to make this happen. Mm-hmm. That, for me, is a huge problem, because what's going to keep somebody wanting to do this for years to come, or to offer us new and exciting races? How do you change like insurance companies in cities with licenses and permits and all of the other costs that come along with having flaggers and signs and police officers? That's just insane. I don't think we're going to be able to change that, because you can't go to these people and say you need to lower your money. They're going to laugh at you in your face and say, yeah, well then just don't do the event. How do we combat this? How do we work around this?
That's a huge quote. Well, isn't this where, and Jake, you would know better, isn't this where like OBRA and USAC need to really step in and help those promoters? Because
kind of.
Because I know back in Ohio we had this problem where we had this great road race series. I'm going to forget the guy's name who put it on. Anybody from Ohio listening, please comment with this guy's name. I forget his name. But he put on this great road race series for years and years. Had this big series championship too. It was a stage race series that ended the series. It was a weekend of racing. It was awesome. And he gave it up for a year or two, and it disintegrated because of the hard work that he put in. But he said he wasn't making it; he was losing money off of it, and it just wasn't fair to him to have to put that on. But
I completely agree. And
yeah.
I think
but as soon as he left is when they realized how much how important he was.
The work and the risk that these promoters put into these races, they should be making decent money, and they're just not going to be able to do that. And so, everybody's simple problem or solution to the problem is you need to go get more sponsors to get more money to offset your costs. Well, if you've got if you're having to change your venue because you can't get a permit from the city to be in a town area where people can come watch, and you're all of a sudden going to be in some rural area, or you're going to be then doing the whole office industrial park racing series, and it's just the racers that are showing up, what sponsor is going to want to throw money at that? So it just becomes kind of a bit of a problem, or you keep dipping back into the same pool of sponsors and constantly asking them for money, and they're like, well, what are we getting out of this? So how do you combat these problems? How can we think outside of the box and come up with some way to make some more money for these to be successful?
I think Evan's idea of like, hey, that could be one of like, I'm not to throw Ober under the bus or anything like that, but like that could be part of their mission, where it's like, hey, Lance, you're just Joe off the street and you want to put on a race, like here's the packet to do it. Like here's what you do. And not only that, but we've lobbied the city and Vancouver City and Oregon, Portland and Camas, and we've lobbied these groups and we've said you've got to lower your, permits fees because this is important for athletics and it's important for health.
Yep.
And
this region should. This is a
we
big.
We value that.
This is what disappoints me with the Portland Marathon too, with all the difficulties that went through. I know that was a completely different thing. There were other political reasons.
There's lots of problems. Yeah.
Yep.
But I think that this is a big reflection too to the road cycling community. We're a region like Portland and Vancouver is supposed to be promoting healthy lifestyles, yada yada yada. Like up on their big high stool talking about that. We got farmers markets, all this stuff. But then when a sport wants to come in and promote an increase in activity for these communities, these are supposed to be cycling communities. We put in bike lanes. This is the most cycling friendly communities in America. We were. Yeah. But we still should be, and we are still way up there. These races should be supported by the cities, and they should. These cities are making so much money, right? You know how many people are moving into Portland? Does Portland really need to be throttling the road cycling community right now? Like, that's just ridiculous to me that stuff is increasing in price.
It still takes someone or some organization to say, hey, we have multiple thousand people that want this, and this is an issue. And if no one brings that issue to the city or whichever city or the community or whatever it is, then they're going to keep moving on. Yeah. And they're going to say, well, we have to pay for our police officers to be here and here and here, and we're going to have traffic problems, and that's going to cost this much money. Yeah. Like they have to just do that quick math and call it, call the price.
The police officers is where I feel bad, because I know that was the problem with the Portland Marathon too, was that those guys are
one of the problems.
One of the many problems I know. I know there are other problems, but those guys are, obviously they already way overstretched and underpaid, and I know that's difficult for them. But
right. But if the community sees lots of people in numbers wise saying that this is important, then they make the funds available. So
for God's sake, we'll shut down an entire street block for a beer festival. But people who want to be active and jump onto bicycles, not that.
That's because it's a 6 mile loop circuit instead of one street block. That's
true.
Well, and I think besides permitting, there's other things too that that organizations like Ober can do, right? Like making it easier for new race organizers, right? So whether that's like, here's the steps that you take to make to put on a race. Because we have a lot of the same event organizers doing like race after race after race. You don't have as many like new organizers putting on races, right? Because it's hard and you don't know what you're doing, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's crazy. I mean, that would be super challenging for me to put on a road race. I wouldn't know what to do or where to start. But if organizations like Ober are like, we want to encourage new event organizers to do something, then how do we do that? Well, we try to make it as easy as possible for them to do it. You follow these steps, you'll put on a decent race. It's not going to be, the world's greatest race, but it's a great place to start.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree with that. Do they have these issues in triathlon? Is this something
absolutely. Yeah. They're the same issues. Yeah. And you guys know me. I don't know hardly anything about the road racing scene. I've done a couple of road races in the area, but I've done tons of running and I've done tons of triathlons and stuff like that. And so you see the same issues and the same problems.
This is maybe where the road cycling community and the triathlon community can start to feed off each other a little bit. The Y Triathlon Racing group out here is a great. They do a wonderful job. Yep. Anybody listening who does triathlons from this region has probably done a Y Triathlon event and has seen how high quality those are. I mean, maybe the road cycling community needs to ask them back and forth and be like, hey, like, we need some help. We need, you know,
What
and
can we
just,
do?
and
Yeah.
what can we do to spread this?
So what's the number 2 triathlon race organization in this
Good
area?
point. I have no idea.
There is no
I
one.
couldn't tell you.
Right?
Yep.
So that's a problem.
Yeah.
Not, I mean,
that
obviously,
is.
I like Y Racing.
I love Y Racing too. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's not another one.
No, there's not.
You
You're
know?
right.
There's the
not.
whole Best of the West community, but that's a little bit south.
It's a little bit further away.
Corvallis, basically.
Yeah.
So, okay. Sorry. High horse.
Yeah.
Well, there's got to be, I think, people from the racing scene need to come together with the people from the city scene, and there needs to be some roundtables, and we need to talk about the benefits. And I think that Matt really struck a chord there, and I think that there needs to be more communication and lobbying. I think that needs to happen from us, even though I hate that the idea of that.
No,
but,
right? Yeah, that's the poor choice of words for sure, right?
Well, it is what it is, though. I mean.
But it is what it is. Yeah,
But that's basically
I hate
what
myself
I mean,
for even saying that, right?
Yeah,
but that's what I mean. Let's not kid ourselves here. This would be political at some point. It would have to get political. There's no way this stuff happens without getting political.
Yeah, and like going back to the USAC and OBRA, and basically they need to be able to leverage their numbers and the stuff that they're doing to get better insurance policies, so that we're not.
They have to see growth.
Yeah, and the insurance does come through OBRA. OBRA does have their. There are people that they're set up with inside the insurance industry to get us the best deal, but those prices are still going up. And at the end of the day, it falls down to if these promoters are going to make anything happen and they're not able to get the sponsorship money, it just ends up being us paying more for our races. And I think on average right now for a road race, we're paying about $35 if you pre-register, and about $40 to $50 if you're doing day of. Cyclocross isn't too far off that now.
No, it's between 30 and 25 bucks.
Yeah,
pre-registration.
it used to be quite a bit less than that, and just over the past few years, they've bumped their prices up as well, and it's because.
So I know we have some listeners in Europe. One of my best friends from back in undergrad was a French kid from near the French-Belgian border border area. When he came here and started racing for the team I was on in Ohio, he was appalled that he had to pay for races. He didn't even bring his wallet to a race. And I told him, I was like, hey, let's go register. He's like, what are you talking about? Didn't the team already register us? It's like, no, we have to go register and pay. He looked at me and he thought I was joking.
Yeah.
I was like, no, really, we have to pay. He didn't bring his wallet. I had to pay for him that race. Like, he had no idea.
Yeah.
And he was so shocked. He's like, you guys pay to race? He was like, no. Like, so apparently the French cycling group in Belgium does the same thing, and Spain does the same thing. They support all of the financial fees. Now, I know that model probably can't happen here as easily, but
something to strive for, right?
Maybe there's something we can learn from over in Europe. Maybe there's some way that they're doing this that is working, because they have very fruitful amateur road racing over there. They are very well supported, and it was for a long time considered a poor man's sport, which means that it's affordable for everybody to do. Yeah, which is the end goal. I mean, right? That's how you get more people doing it. Is you make it more and more affordable. That's triathlon's main problem. Is it's not affordable.
Even in Europe they have that problem.
But cycling and running can be affordable.
True. Yeah.
And I think they should be, and that's how you get bigger numbers. Like, how do you get bigger numbers? Make it reasonable for a kid working a high school summer job to go and race and not have to break the bank every single time he wants to race.
Gotcha. What are your guys' thoughts about doing races in places like an office park where it's just,
love it.
Those are pretty fun.
Love it. They are so fun.
How can we make those more attractive to a sponsor to come in and say, all right, I'm going to get behind this? I mean, how can you make it more of like a festival kind of atmosphere?
I've got an idea for this. This is because of Portland's culture.
Yeah.
You make a beer garden and food trucks.
Those food trucks, man, they can go anywhere, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
Make it a cyclocross style event. Road racing needs to learn from how cyclocross makes their events. You get beer in there and you get food. Yeah. There you go.
Well, you make it fun.
Criteriums in this general area have not died, but they're very few and far between. If I'm
That's
not
how you
mistaken.
bring them back. Office parks.
So if we were to find an office park, and here's another thing that OBRA used to do, which they've kind of gotten away from, kind of like the article stated, is all teams before were supposed to put on a race so that they could be assured that there's plenty of races on the calendar. Now, we don't have a shortage of races. It's just fewer people that are putting on the races, but maybe there's something to be said that we can. Can I shoot out an idea here? Go for it.
Okay, so we've got the tech center area where Hub is located.
Yep.
You think there's a route that could go around there that could be safe for a criterium?
It's tight. It's a little tight. It's a little densely populated.
I'm not saying like right next to Hub.
Yeah. Those.
Well, that's the tech center that's there.
Yeah.
Still tight.
It would have to be right close to hub.
So, do you know where Kelly Point is?
Yes.
That would be a good area over there because it's pretty quiet on the weekends.
That's not a bad idea.
That's the great part about this is like your costs, and not really like financial, this permit or whatever it is, but your costs to people, to aggravating traffic, to aggravating, businesses. Mm-hmm. It's a lot lower because you can do something like, hey, let's go to this business park on a Sunday. Guess what? No one else is there, or a Saturday. Like, shouldn't be working.
And a place like Hub or your restaurants around there should be open to that. You got a ton of hungry cyclists coming in there.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
And we all go and eat after those races.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why Ironman thrives in certain areas.
Yeah.
You bring in 2,000 hungry triathletes. You kidding me? That's money.
And they charge the cities to put the races on.
Yeah.
So, it's slightly different than what we have going on with cycling.
Hey, I think cyclists are just as hungry after races.
No. I'm just saying, like,
I know
the bike race, the bike races around here are not charging Portland to put on a race there.
No.
Right. So that's an Ironman problem.
But
it's
hey,
still.
Why not in Vancouver give a criterium a shot? Let's see what Vancouver can do and see if Portland will say like, hey, that works.
Well, we've had a criterium downtown.
I heard about
for years.
It's been canceled the last couple of years because of permitting issues and cost issues. So
and construction that was happening down there.
Too.
But it was very popular.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say that road cycling is dying here, and I think I alluded to this in the last podcast that there was actually an uptick in the number of race days, and so like if Evan went out and did 10 races, then he would be accounting for 10 race days. So there has been a small percentage uptick in race days, which is great. And like I said before, we usually try and make up for that when we hit the cyclocross season because that's like our bread and butter sport for the year. But there's an uptick, and I think that road racing is still alive here, but I think it could be much better. I mean, there's too many times that you'll show up to a race and like you're anticipating a category being 40, 50 people deep, and you look around, there's like 20 or 25, and it definitely could be bigger.
I don't want to like be like the dial cycling guy, but doesn't it help, those numbers when you have a new team and it happens to be a new big team all of a sudden come on the scene like dialed cycling did? I mean, I'm not saying like we're the reason that the numbers are up, but we're the reason that the numbers are up.
I think Jake and the team are the reason the numbers are up.
And that's probably why, people are approaching Jake and being like, hey, can you, look at Obra, come look and see what you think or whatever it is. But it's, I think that I'm still worried about this situation of this, like numbers are declining stuff. So, and we also on triathlon. So.
We as a cycling community can do better. The teams out there, there are, I think I think I was told that there's 109 registered teams right now. There's a lot of other teams out there that can do much better and do more. I mean, there's even teams out there that are just 8 or 10 people. Yeah, go grab a few more kids and bring them out and start training them. Let them get on the rise and do more and start to give back and be a little bit more proactive with building the community. Don't just put on a kit and show up on race day and nobody ever hears from you. I mean, we beat our drum across the board, whether it be social media, whether it be showing up to charity events, whether it be showing up to races, or how we communicate with each other. I mean, I've really wanted to celebrate our team and our community, and I want us to give back, and I want us to be challenged, and I want us to go out and race bicycles and have fun and get other people interested in and bring more people into the sport. I mean, it's not hard.
Why not too? And this is, I know we always bring triathlon into this talk, but I think part of the reason that Dialed has continued to grow at the rate that it's growing because it was open to a triathlon team. Yeah. If you're a smaller cycling team and you've got triathletes training by themselves in that community, why not say, hey, we'll, do some stuff in triathlon if you come out and road race with us.
Yeah. Here's my theory.
And get them jumping over the road race scene
Here's my theory. I think these cycling teams that are probably smaller are a couple of competitive people getting together like, oh, Lance and our buddies, whatever, we like to race, like let's make our own team, right? And and whatever it is, so we gather our buddies and we have a team, we race, and it's fun, and we drink beer, it's awesome. And then like a couple years go by and some of us aren't racing as much anymore, and all of us are getting older. We're not recruiting young people to race on our team because this is just our team that we put together. This is just our fun team that we just did, that was awesome. And then you have those teams that are maybe they were 15 or 20 people on that team, and they dwindled down to 8 or whatever. They're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
It's definitely, I mean, I know it's way different than like these big teams that we talk about, because you theoretically would have like youth development programs and all these things that are like kind of like a little bit of outreach type stuff. I don't think a lot of teams are like that. I think a lot of teams are like, these are my friends and we race together.
Yeah.
And then we don't, like as we get older, whatever it is. That's my theory.
I think you're right.
And how do you
nail that on the head with 100? What was that? 106 teams.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somewhere right in there.
Yeah.
So I mean, how many of those are large?
Yeah, that's the
6,
question.
right? You know.
But if we challenged every team to grow by 10%, you know, even the people that are 10 people teams, just go find one person and put them on your team. You grew by 10%. You know.
Yeah.
Well, how would you encourage people to do that? Like, hey, what's the reward for growing by 10%?
There's got to be different incentives, and that's a matter of bringing on different sponsorships, different kind of support for the organization, getting people excited about racing. There's got to be like a little carrot at the end of the string to bring people on. And I try stuff all the time with our team, just saying, all right, guys, what is it that's going to make this more enjoyable for you? And so we can. You know, we've been able to leverage our numbers to create partnerships with people on the outside to support our team, which has been great. And it's not very hard to write up a sponsorship packet. It's not very hard to contact different vendors that you would need to support your team to get the things that your team's going to need to make it an incentive to be a part of your team.
Okay, so is that stuff that Obra could put together? Like, here's a packet of how to do that? Because I have never written like a sponsorship like packet, suggestion
there
for
is
sponsorship.
Not. And I've had a couple people that are looking to start teams.
Right.
I've had their emails forwarded to me by people on Obra saying, "Hey, Jake, can you help this guy out? You've obviously got something figured out." So.
And that's from the. I mean, you're not like you just got into Obra.
Yeah.
And like you're being handed the like, hey, how do you start a team, Jake?
There should be a blueprint for us to follow. And I mean, you can take said blueprint and you can alter it to fit your needs so that you build the house the way that you like it. But there's definitely things that you should be doing along the way that are going to help make you more successful.
And there's maybe it's even as easy. So this is an idea from Interbike. I won't take this as my own, but. There was one guy up there talking about just growing local teams. Like, how the heck do we grow local teams? And this is not news to Jake by any means, but just for people listening, not a bad idea to look at local bike shops and say, hey, when that guy comes in, he's like, hey, you know what? I've been riding my mountain bike as a commuter lately, but I have a couple friends who like have road bikes and those look fast and fun, so I'm going to jump on there. And just that bike shop, when you buy that new bike, having some information on, hey, here are 3 big local teams. If you want to go out there and do group rides and stuff like that, you know, ever want to do anything more with it, here's their information. Go ahead and just reach out to them. You just bought a new road bike. Here's how you get into the cycling community now. So it's accessible right when you purchase that road bike.
Yeah,
instead of having to scour Facebook and be like, all right, who's got the most likes on their team page? Shoot a random message over there and hope that you get a response.
And I think a lot of bike shops might have those group rides, which it's kind of the same idea. Where
yeah, but we've been on all those. It's not like on those. It's not like they're saying like, hey, you should join a team. It's like everybody's got their group of friends there. They show up like, who's the new guy? All right, go on the ride.
Yeah, and I actually think our area is lacking that. Like, that like, hey, the Thursday night open ride or whatever. Like, we all know where to find rides, but like if you just bought your
World Bike Project actually was talking about that, organizing group rides in a database. So it was talking about how to organize.
Ooh, I could write that.
So like they were saying, if you go to a new town and you're like, I would like
hop on a ride,
bike shop ride or something, you can search on there and there's your bike shop ride right there.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a. Oh, go ahead, Matt.
I was just gonna say, like, we know how to find rides because we are familiar with Strava and all this stuff like that.
Most people don't know that stuff.
But I like your idea of being like, you just bought a bike and here you go. You know,
here's your options for teams that can help you out.
But it kind of goes back to this whole elitist attitude and the a-holery that is out there. It
needs to go away.
It's very easy to move to a place and feel like, oh crap, I don't know any of these people, and it could be intimidating to ask a question if these people are just like putting their nose up to you. I mean, all you have to do is be welcoming and open and accepting of new people, and put yourself out there. If you're looking to bring more people onto your team, or if you're looking to build your cycling community, it's not a hard recipe to put together to be successful.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people out there looking for that kind of stuff. Because when I moved to Camas, Washington, where I'm at here in the PDX area, there wasn't really much going on. There was another local bike shop that had a team that was doing mostly like mountain cross stuff, but in the road riding world, there wasn't much going on over here. And I'm looking around on Strava, I'm like, there's all of these people riding in all these little pockets all over the place, but there isn't really a formal team. There's no formal rides that were at least announced to the world. Right. And, fast forward to today, we kind of put that in place, and it's doing great things. And
you did, because I'll tell you what, I got lucky when I came out here running to Jake. I'm not like really like, I came out here and I thought the same thing you did, Jake. I was like, I know there's a lot of bike riding out here, but I have no idea where to go.
But there's another thing in here that they thought that they're presenting it as being a possible problem with the road racing scene, because people are, instead of going to a road race and signing up and paying a fee and taking their whole day, they'll just show up to these group rides, kind of like the local Savi Island shootout here that's kind of mirrored after the shootout down in Tucson. And there's a bunch of other rides where you can show up and you can go out there and get your racing fix. You don't pay a dime, and it's local and it's really simple. And they're kind of pointing their fingers to that as being an issue. And I've actually heard people say the same thing about the local racing here, or the Savi Island shootout being an issue. And I'm 100% opposite on their thought process. I think that is great. And if you want to,
those are the guys who are racing. The guys going to that are all racing.
It's a concentrated group of those guys. That's your market right there. Show up and talk to them.
Yes.
Extend your hand and shake their hand and say, you just killed it. You should come out and try some of these races. Or team directors show up and you don't see a guy wearing a team kit, because usually if you're on a team and you show up to that ride, 9 times out of 10 you've got your team kit on, so it's very easy to say, hey, that guy's just got like a standard kit on. I'm gonna go over there and talk to him. He's pretty strong. I wonder if he's looking for a team to race on. It's very easy to do that and make those connections. And if you don't take that line of a-holery or that stuck up attitude or that I'm not going to go over and talk to him, and you actually approach the person with a smile on your face and greet them and like, man, you killed it out there today. That's awesome. What team do you race for? And you start that conversation, all of a sudden you're recruiting somebody to come out and try bike racing to be a part of your team. All of these 109 or 106 teams out there should be doing that on a consistent basis, and we should create more of the Savi Island shootouts all over the place and grow our sport that way.
I agree. So when you look at let's look at football.
Yeah.
So how does football recruit kids to go play football? They go to track practice. I mean, think about Urban Meyer. You want to know why Urban Meyer's been so good at Ohio State? That guy goes to track meets.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, you're pretty fast. Do you play football? Okay, yeah, you should. So let's go ahead.
You do now.
Yeah, you do now. You're a wide receiver, and you're going to get a D1 scholarship. Why aren't we doing that in cycling, where it's, like you said, these team directors going to these type of shootout rides, or even, here's a wild idea, going out to cross-country stuff and saying hey, high school kids, you've got to
don't tell people that's part of my plan.
Do not recruit my athletes away from me.
Stealing all of Matt's athletes next year.
I'm going to recruit Matt's athletes, because this is how we win a golden triathlon, is American East start recruiting those kids. But that's how you get them. You say hey, you're off, you can't run year round and beat your body up at the age of 15, 16. Why not jump on a bike here?
Yes.
So you should run all year round and beat your body up.
Evan, you should be promoting that, because that's good for business for
I'm all for that. I'll tell you what.
Good for business.
But yeah, I think cycling does need to get away from that purist mentality. Yeah. It's got to start thinking outside the box. I'm not seeing enough thinking outside the box.
Another thing we could do is be like, hey, let's take a camera along the way on this Savi Island shootout and be like, hey, we can take that to the city and be like, don't you think we need to issue more permits? Look at this pack of cyclists out on the road with traffic.
Yeah.
And they're and they're going to cause problems no matter what. It's either way, you make permits to come down, and that and all of a sudden it's easier for them to find races or avenues for them to do this stuff. The Savi Island stuff is a win-win, right? It's free, it's encouraging cycling. This is great. And we could turn that around and show the city we need to issue more permits for races. Potentially.
How about this? Keep Savi Island a free race. Have the city say, hey, you can bring in certain sponsors. They can set up tents and stuff like that. You loosely organize a couple races.
I don't think
they're probably not going to keep it free.
They won't do it because I'm putting this in air quotes. Some guy is a promoter of that. They advocates for the ride, but they don't want it to be an official thing. They don't want the liability.
You don't want the liability.
It's just guys who show up.
I don't
and
blame
they're just
them.
riding their bike, and
they
just
put together a great
fast.
thing. I don't blame them at all. They put together a great thing, and they're awesome. But
and that's the whole reason of why would we do a free triathlon? Why would you do a free swim series? Why would you do all this stuff free? It's I don't want the liability. Someone drowns, they're gonna be calling me, or whatever it is. I don't want to have.
This is the other wicked problem with this is lawyers.
Oh yeah, right. Yep. Everybody wants to put their hands in the pockets of people going out there and riding their bikes. So anything else on this list? I know that we're getting kind of deep into this whole thing. Is there anything else on the list that you guys want to talk about?
They tried to blame Lance
They
Armstrong,
did. The
not
Lance
Hepler
effect.
on this. They tried to blame the
The
Lance,
Lance
effect on
Hepler effect?
Get out of here with that. Are you
No,
kidding me?
okay. So let me play
Lance
devil's
Armstrong.
advocate. Let me play devil's
God, here
you
we
know
go.
I love to play devil's
I
advocate.
know.
Okay,
I know.
so
Let's go.
So you gotta imagine when you have an American winning, like seriously, like
Yeah.
like 7 Tour de France, like all of us were like, yes,
America,
cycling, America. No, I mean you've got to imagine like the sale, just like, oh, he was on drugs the whole time. That's a major letdown. Like, I think that there was a boom in cycling during that time frame of him doing well.
Yeah.
People are buying bikes. Trek bikes are probably selling okay. You know, it's like,
can I blame something else with professional cycling that is not Lance?
Well, and I'm not sure it's like to blame. I think cycling was dead in America before, and then you have Lance Armstrong come on and win a whole bunch
cycling
of stuff.
had a huge boom in the late 80s, early 90s. Like I remember people were talking about like when
late 80s, early 90s. Yeah.
Late 80s, early 90s when like Hincapie, everybody of that era was like our professional boys were starting to develop through the mid 90s. There was a big boom at that time. I remember them talking about that in the Midwest. We had Andrea used to race actually down in Michigan and Ohio, and I remember them talking about there was a big boom in road cycling at that time.
You weren't even born in the 80s.
Yeah, this was roughly when I was 3 or 4 years old. I wasn't quite on the circuit yet. This is from people who had been in the community for a while telling me these stories. Yeah,
and I'm just remembering. I'm remembering people being like, "Oh yeah, we watched the Tour de France." Like, you just heard people saying like, "Yeah, we watched the Tour de France." Like, this doesn't happen as much anymore.
Yeah, guys running
now
American
we watched
underwear up and down Alpe d'Huez flying the American flag. It's awesome, but the Tour has gotten more calculated and more boring. It has gone. There was a time where like cycling was like romantic for a time period in the mid 90s, late 90s, early 2000s.
Lance romantic.
It was. It was Lance romantic, and what killed it was now these teams. They calculate splits and race to power.
Yeah, I don't know.
So you got
I don't believe.
Oh man, I'm gonna play devil's advocate to you.
So
you got this $2 million Team Sky that's just destroying these great races.
Absolutely.
Now I'm not blaming Team Sky because Team Sky can go out there and win all that they want. That's
looks
fine.
like Chris Froome's just staring at his power numbers, but I don't think he is. I think he just has an awkward style, and he wins races on descents. Like there's cool stuff going on in cycling.
I'm fine with that, but let's just take away power meters.
Yeah, okay.
For the races, take away power meters.
That
see if we got a Panatonic.
Take away power meter and take away the communication devices.
That would be different. That would be.
I'd love it.
Well, they could do a race like that, and
I
it would be
love
fun.
watching the old '90s races. You see, like Marco Pantani attack at the base of some random mid climb. Like that does not happen anymore. Yeah. Nobody does that anymore.
I still think that there's excitement around British cycling. And it's the same thing as like the U.S. Like there was excitement around U.S. cycling when we have our heroes and they're doing well, and we can relate to those heroes. Whether they're it's because like, oh, this person grew up here. Lance grew up in Texas. Like I know Lance is like my old best buddy, right? Like I gotta cheer for him, right? Like we all can relate to that, and I think it does spur on individual countries and individual communities and whatever it is to kind of have that uptick in bike sales and bike racing and all the stuff that relates to the sport.
Well, here's the thing.
We need a pro hero.
Yeah, we've talked about this before. The best cyclist in the world is very well from here in the United States, and that person probably doesn't even ride a bicycle because they just don't know any better.
They're probably plays basketball.
Exactly. So it's because of our culture and our staple sports that the kids generally get into on a very consistent basis, and they will chew them up and spit them out by the time they're in their mid-20s, and we don't really discover that this person was exceptional until they're probably 30-something years old. And it's too late.
Or maybe that kid trickled into running because it's a much more supported collegiate sport, and he got a full ride for it. And that kid's running the 10K at NCAA D1. He could have been the best cyclist in the country.
So
who knows?
We can sit around and point our fingers at that, or we can go out there and we can start to develop these kids and find them. And I think that falls on communities.
A couple of these kids.
Yeah, we'll try. We'll do our best, and we'll challenge other people in their communities to do the best. But really, across the board, people that run cycling organizations, be it teams or clubs, need to do a better job of developing the next kid. They need to be mentors to these kids. They need to get them on the bike, and they need to challenge them to race and to ride and to learn all of the stuff that comes along with it, and watch them naturally develop as a cyclist. I think that's something we all need to do.
Exactly. So I don't blame Lance Armstrong, is what I was trying to get at there.
just I think you made your point.
Yeah, do we really have a hero right now? I mean, TJ Van Garderen was like a big hope for a long time.
He's such a nice guy. I love TJ, but he's not an encompassing human being. He's not he's not a transcendent athlete. Yeah. We do not have a transcendent athlete in cycling right now.
No, we don't.
Yeah, you've got some of these guys on the education first, the EF, is that what it is? Like, I don't know. They're fun to watch, like Lawson Craddock and there's a few others.
They're great guys.
Who's the other chilled out funny guy?
Tyler.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
I know who you're talking about.
Taylor Finney.
Finney.
Yeah.
He's comedy.
Yeah.
He's comedy gold, but he's not the
the
next great cyclist. So,
and I mean, there's you had who is it? Jonathan Brown, the national champ over this last year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, he's 24, 25. He's a young kid. I mean, he's got a ton of talent, but yeah, I'm not sure if you got anybody on the world tour outside of. Well, there was Mike Woods is American, isn't he?
Michael Woods. Rusty Woods.
No. Michael Woods at the World Championship.
Oh, yeah.
Second, yeah. American.
No.
He's not.
He's Australian.
Oh, he's Aussie. Never mind.
Huh.
I was about to get on his soapbox there, but yeah. Outside of him, I mean, Talansky was up there for a while, but now he's a professional triathlete.
Yeah. Well, it just kind of comes back on us to build our sport. We need to put more emphasis on cycling as a whole, because if you look at the other countries, they have a huge infrastructure built for developing these kids. Like your friend who came here, he's like, you guys pay to race? I mean, if we had something where we could promote our juniors to go out and race for free, I mean, that would be great for the parents to get them involved in stuff and find out ways to get these kids on bikes for less money and just like really start to build up the sport from the juniors up. I think that would really help us in the long run.
We do have a teammate that is helping with that.
We sure do.
Yeah. During one of the Tuesday night cyclocross series, all juniors race for free.
Yep.
Because a teammate, Eric Hagstad, and his real estate company, they sponsored it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That is. It's guys like that. It's guys like that. Then we see more people like that.
His business, his real estate business, is called Inhabit Portland. I think it is. I wouldn't want to hit Inhibit.
Not Inhibit.
Inhabit Portland. I think is what it is.
Portland.
And they do a great job. So support Eric and his company for the cool things that he's doing for cycling.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
All right. Anything else that you guys want to lean on here, talk about before we jump on?
We kind of dug into that.
We did.
We always do.
Well, we can talk about this a little bit more. I can firmly come on here and tell you guys that in 2 weeks we're going to have Chuck Keeneland, the executive director, on the podcast to talk shop with us, and maybe we can dig into some of the stuff.
Didn't I say some bad things about Oprah?
Shoot.
He's
We're
allowed
going
to
have
say
that on repeat.
He's allowed to say as many bad things about me.
I might not be here. I might not be here that day because I'm going to be hiding somewhere.
Chuck's a good guy.
He's going to take Matt's seat, I think.
Should be a fun, interesting conversation. So
awesome.
All right. Our next topic, the hot seat.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
The hot seat.
That got
cool.
dark.
That's cool.
Yeah.
that went Halloween dark.
Some like fire crackles at the end or something.
All right. Evan, do you want to start us off?
Yes.
The hot seat. What's your question?
Okay, this one's basically between me and Matt, but I'm going to make you two choose over there too.
Sure.
Kona winner. We're going to dig into this more next week. Kona winner. Go. Matt.
Gosh.
Luke Van Leerd.
Nailed it.
Oh. Is he even racing? I don't even know.
No.
You can just say Van Leerd. There is a Van Leerd racing, not Luke.
I would say Lionel Sanders, but I don't know. I'm not the hugest fan of his.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. The guy that won it last year is back. He's probably he would be probably the favorite, maybe. So I don't know. Ask me after.
You said nothing.
You have to say.
Matt,
you have to say
nothing.
Okay, I'll say Lionel Sanders.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to say that, but
that's fine. You said it though.
Is it like who we want to win or who?
It's not set in stone yet. We can talk about it more next week.
Okay, we should have like a who we think is going to win
you.
and who is who we hope it's going to win.
Jake.
Is that the guy who does Kentucky Fried Chicken?
Yeah.
Okay.
He might as well. He's from Canada. But
he's Canadian, yeah.
How about Rennie Caffrey?
Yeah.
For the women's
I'm
side?
going to go with women.
I like that pick. I like that pick
good.
on the women's side.
I should have, yeah.
Picked for the women's side.
I'm going to pick for the women. I got to stand up for the women.
There's a girl
that.
named Danielle Arif who's just
killing it. I would love to see Carfer give her a chance, run for her money.
Well, you know who else is? There's a girl named Lucy Charles. I think
it'll be
last name?
The women's race will come down to Reef and Lucy Charles.
Yeah, those two for sure.
They're out of this world.
Yeah.
But I like the Carfree pick. I like that.
Yeah,
Lance
for sure.
I don't even know who's in it.
You already nailed it.
I already nailed it. Luke Van Leerd and Chrissy Wellington. Those are my two choices.
Chrissy Wellington. I don't know if Chrissy's going to be there this year. I'm assuming no.
She'll probably,
she hasn't raced in like 8 years.
I think it's been like 8 or 9 years since she's been there.
I'm pretty sure she's going to be there, but it won't be.
Yeah, I think she'll be announcing. All right.
Matt, hot seat.
Hot seat. Favorite winter gear? Favorite winter piece that you got or that you want?
As little as possible.
You gonna go out there in your skibbies?
I try my best to hold off on winter gear for as long as possible.
So are you gonna wear a Speedo when you're out there on the ride, or what are you gonna?
No, I just try to stay sleeveless first. I don't have arm warmers or
Like
anything.
gloves and a Speedo.
I try to stay as minimalist as possible.
You're natural.
For as long as possible. Yeah.
Naturalist.
We'll see this winter.
Okay, but you have to have a winter piece that you think is...
The Pearl Izumi cycling tights. I like those.
Okay.
Yeah, they're warm.
I like a really lightweight, packable rain jacket that is actually waterproof.
Do you have one that you
Who
like?
makes a good one? Castelli, I know, has a really good one.
I just picked one up last
you?
week, and
So
it
you
is fantastic.
The Hydro jacket
The
is
Hydro jacket.
the bomb. It was new last year, and I picked one up, and oh my gosh, this thing is just incredible. It's super lightweight. Like
Super
I let
lightweight.
Lance check mine out before he got his.
Okay.
And you pick it up, and it weighs next to nothing. And you could go outside
cool.
and hit somebody with the fire truck hose with this jacket on, and you're not going to get a drop of water on you.
Do you get really hot when you wear it, and it's like like a little like a plastic bag?
It's Gore-Tex, so it does breathe a little bit.
Does it?
It does, but it actually insulates you perfect when it's below 50 degrees and it's raining out. It's a thing of beauty. It really is. It's super.
This is something I should check out, even though I'm trying not to buy more stuff.
I'm going to check that out too. Yeah.
It's not cheap.
They're not cheap at
Lance,
all.
where do you usually keep yours?
Mine hangs in the closet most of the year.
Got it. Okay.
Matt, you can take mine out since I won't be wearing it, and you borrow it and suit your thing.
Take it for a stroll. Okay.
Yeah, so that's a good
What
piece.
time do you usually ride, Lance?
Lance took my piece of clothing that I was going to toss
Well,
out.
it doesn't I didn't say clothing.
Okay, so the SKS, what are those? The razor, the blades, the fenders. Those things are pretty nice. They're lightweight. They're easy to put on and take off the bike, and they keep your feet and your butt and your back and everything dry for the most part.
Awesome.
So those that work out pretty slick. But I also do like the Castelli rain jacket that we have because it's another nice piece that keeps you warm and pretty dry.
I want to get some glasses that are clear. Do you guys just change out lenses of your glasses?
I just change out my lenses.
Yeah. Okay.
A lot of times, like with,
Or I ride no glasses during the rain. I know that's weird, but I
crazy.
usually do.
a lot of Oakley glasses you can will come with a second pair, and you can actually you can get the yellow or the clear or whatnot. So
Right.
that's a good place to look.
Okay.
I'm sure there's other brands out there that do the same.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, Lance.
What is your latest go-to music to listen to?
Good question. We talked about this same topic, and it might have been on our first Dialed podcast.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Taylor Swift.
What are you
You
listening
talked
to
about
now? It's
Taylor
Swift.
You went back and listened, didn't you?
Yeah.
You went back and listened. No,
I
that was
forget what I said
that was the hey Matt, tell us about yourself. And I was like, my parents just don't understand when I'm jamming to my Taylor Swift. No, when we actually talked about real music,
Interval
when
music.
you're doing intervals, and I said classic rock, and I said AC/DC. That was my decision, and that's what I said back then. And currently, it's still what I need to hit the hard stuff. So I'm going to stick with what I said before.
AC/DC. All right.
I should come up with something different, but right now that's what stirs the.
You should. I should show you some of the stuff that I'm listening to.
Yeah.
There's some house music that I listen to for that.
Okay.
It's called house music these days.
It's like EDM.
It's
like electronic dance
of
music.
like but it's not dance music. It's not designed as dance music.
Okay.
It's not. It's okay. Like,
is it the kind of stuff that I put in my YouTube videos?
Yes, roughly
like
that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
you know,
upbeat.
like every running video you've ever seen, that music that's playing in the background, that's kind of like one person saying something you kind of can't hear.
Yeah,
and it's like cool beats over it. That's basically all that I listen to while I'm riding. Yeah.
When you're running.
Writing.
Oh, writing. Okay.
I never listen to music when I'm running.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lately, I've been listening to Post Malone's latest album.
Yes.
And it is fantastic.
It is,
latest
isn't it?
Post Malone
It's
album
so
is
good.
great. It's really good. Yeah. So that's
another album for the kids out there.
Yeah.
Throwing this one out to the young people. Lance is trying to be cool over there.
I'm trying to be cool.
Travis Scott's Astro World is kind of that same vibe. It's very, very cool. Yeah.
I have my ever-growing cycling list. I use Spotify, and I've got my little
read off a couple of your Spotify.
Well, I'm one that I just added that I'm really keen on right now is the new song, Cypress Hill. I don't know if you guys dig Cypress Hill or not.
No.
They have a new song?
They have a new song that just came out, and it's pretty awesome. It's called Crazy, and it's just got this cool, like, kind of retro, almost kind of like psychedelic vibe to it, but it's, the guys, and it's just a lot of fun.
It's like 70s rock.
Dude, I could definitely work out to that for sure.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun, and maybe I can pull this up for us and we can listen to a moment of it while we're doing it. But Evan wanted to know some of my other recent songs that I listened to.
I know Jake's got a pretty big Spotify list for this built up.
Yeah, I think I've got a couple hundred songs in there.
So,
but it's very eclectic. It's very like all over the place. I mean, I'll listen to a little country, a little hard rock, a little
you have a
old
nice
school rap.
mix. Yeah. So you're listening to stuff on the bike,
Yeah,
out on the road or on the trainer?
only on the trainer.
On the trainer,
not on the road.
you're listening to stuff. You just got a new
I'm
trainer.
I'm watching races on there while I'm paying attention to Sufferfest or Zwift while also listening to music.
Okay.
I'm trying to be way overstimulated on that bike.
Yeah. So do you mostly focus on like the workout in the music when you're hitting hard set, or when do you just chill out and you're like, I can watch this race? For
Usually if I have like a half hour of just like whatever,
Gotcha.
then I'm just like listening to music and stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, if
and
I'm
you're
focusing, I'm
you're
focused.
regularly putting in 2-hour rides on the trainer, or
Longer.
Oh, you're crazy.
Yeah. Okay,
I
Jake.
love it. I love
Okay,
it.
Jake, let's.
You want to hear this
Yeah.
little song? All right, here it comes. Here it comes. All right.
Wait for the drop.
It's got a cool vibe to it.
Totally.
Let's just hope it's clean.
This is Cypress Hill.
Yeah.
I could do this.
Just kind of get you going,
I like
you know?
it.
It's kind of a cool thing.
It's a short trip to crazy.
It's upbeat too. It's got to have a good cadence to it. It does.
So, anyway, that's probably not for everybody out there, but it's something I do.
And I don't know if I would pick that for my like last interval set, but I would definitely pick it for first couple.
Yeah.
Matt,
I definitely like the song.
There was
yeah.
a cool recent study done where they were trying to measure the cadence of music, and they wanted to see if that actually affected running cadence. And spoiler
absolutely.
alert, it did.
Oh.
Now, it wasn't a high power study, so I'll say, it wasn't a huge high power study, but they were talking about, like, when you're picking your interval music, you got to pick something, like, you don't want to sit there and pick
Something
Taylor
that's got the right
Swift's old
cadence.
country albums right there. You got to pick something that gets up and gets...
Always comes back to Taylor Swift.
It does, yeah.
No, I...
Her new stuff is garbage. Oh, my God, Matt, her new stuff's garbage.
they,
You just crushed his world.
I'm just trying to make Matt mad now.
Evan, you don't understand me. You don't understand my problems. No, I just think there was also quite a few studies that looked at like music and athletic performance.
Yeah.
And it's just like caffeine. Like there is significant athletic performance enhancements while listening to music. And they were, there was a guy that was like, hey, why didn't Nike have music blaring on their Sub 2 project all over the different like locations? Because I mean, they were so close to breaking 2 hours in the marathon. Like, that this is a performance enhancer. You know they were using caffeine. Like,
you think one Post Malone song would have put in those extra 23 seconds under the 2 hour? I think so.
Probably 30 minutes.
I think so. Yeah. He would have gone 157 there if that would.
Jake, what about you?
All right, my
question.
one hot seat question for you guys. What's one thing that you guys would like to become more proficient in, or rather master this winter? You've got the downtime.
I like that question.
What's one thing you would like to master this winter?
Let's go to the guy racing 12 times a week right now for this first one.
Yeah.
Bike maintenance and repair.
There you go. That's good.
There's like something
That's a really good
every
one.
week
That's
I
a
have
very
to
good
mess
one.
with.
Yeah.
We've been doing that. And
We have been.
You've gotten a lot better, my friend.
I have improved drastically. I want to keep improving in that
I like it.
department.
I will say that the triathletes on this side of the table are probably going to say something about swimming because basically this is very kind of standard triathlon style where it's like your winter season, you're not biking as much. I don't know. Maybe triathletes don't run as much. I don't really see why not. But like the pool is where, you should see a lot of people put these winter hard blocks in. In last winter, I did fantastic. I did a good job of doing a lot more frequency. And then hopefully this year I can do the same and maybe even add more volume. I think it's definitely worth working on swimming in the winter time. So
there you go.
Definitely.
How about you, Evan?
and
I'm adding more high end stuff. I'm gonna like kill myself this winter. It'll be fun. No, I mean like I think too many triathletes take the winter as like, oh, I'm gonna get my base miles in.
yeah,
I'm gonna get my base miles in.
Yeah.
The term base miles, I hate the term base miles just in general because I think you should always be training with some dose of change to the system. You should never train 3 months the same. Like there should never be like 3 months of training when you look back at it and be like, oh, that was all basically status quo.
Yeah.
You always need to be like spicing it up. So that's my one goal this off season. Is to spice it up as much as possible.
Spice it up. Spice
Just in
girls.
general, you're going to spice it up. That's the one thing you're going to master.
I'm just going to master spicing it up.
You can. I'll put like Spice
And
Girl
cooking.
CD.
And cooking. I need to master cooking.
Put some Tapatio on it. Spice
There
it up.
you go. I need to add more Spice Girls to my Spotify.
One thing that I want to master this winter is, there's so many things. master losing some weight. I gotta do that. Gosh, what else is out there that I want to do? There's like some web stuff that I want to do, and I want to master some more photography stuff. So,
oh, that's cool.
That's cool.
That's just kind of one of those things that I'm working on. This
is where Matt and Jake are going to start putting out just some like incredible photos that may rival Lance's Instagram at some point. We should have we should have an Instagram contest once, like beautiful spring, like as soon as winter's done. Mm-hmm. See like who can come up with the better week on Instagram. Lance, Matt, or Jake.
My Instagram got hacked this last week.
Wait, seriously?
Yes. Yeah, it got hacked, and it took a couple days to actually get control back to it.
Jeez.
What were they posting?
They didn't post anything. It was odd. They just
were stealing
went in.
Your pictures.
They changed my username. They changed the password. They changed everything to it, so I couldn't get access to it. So you have to jump through all these hoops to get it back, and I got it back. So if you don't have two-step verification on your Instagram accounts, please do that. Yeah. So that
you're flying too close to the sun, Lance. There's too many people looking at your Instagram. Like I need a piece of that.
Yeah. Something. I think the one last thing that I want to master is being able to use my shoulder again.
I was about to say for Jake. I was like, I think neural function and muscular strength will be.
Yeah. There is one more thing to this hot seat, and this comes in from Lance's friend Ryan down in Las Vegas. And he has a hot seat question for Lance.
Oh, no.
Oh, boy.
All right, so here's the question. Lance, you can pull a tooth. You can run a drill. You can prep and CNC a crown. So why can't you wrench on your own bike?
Oh, wait a minute. I just brought that up.
I thought that was very fitting. So.
Yeah, I'm trying to learn how to wrench on my own
He's working
bikes
on
better.
it, Ryan.
Why do you guys always pick on Lance?
Why is everybody
it's
picking on
so much
me?
more fun to pick on Lance.
Rance Lomance.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right, let's run around the table real quick. One last thing. Lance, start us off.
Shout out to the 5 teammates who got cyclocross category upgrades. Just an hour or two ago.
Nice.
Eric Hagstadt from a 3 to a 2. Mike Hamness for a 3 to a 2. Jonathan Meyer a 5 to a 4. Mark Westerfield a 5 to a 4, and Chris Weirman a 3 to a 2 . So
you've got some new compadres to ride with.
That's got some new 2 teammates that are going to be stuck with
You're
me.
loving it, aren't you?
Loving it.
You're loving it. That's awesome.
I hope I can join you next year as well. So
Yes.
that can make for a fun cyclocross season, having a big orange wave.
Yeah. Should be good.
Cool. Evan, one last thing.
World Championship road race was this last weekend.
Sure was.
And doping allegations aside, Valverde won, and I was happy to see him win because that guy has been trying to win a world championship. He is like 38 now.
Yep.
He has been trying to win a world championship
He was
for a long time.
happy afterwards.
That was pure
just
joy.
Like he couldn't even speak. He was just like...
You want to see pure ecstasy and joy.
He was just yelling these guttural like screams.
Yeah.
He was just that was cool
and
to see.
And what a race. I mean, that race was, I may get the distance wrong, but I think it was like 180 miles or something ridiculous, which, I mean, the world championships are usually very, very long races.
It was 15,000 feet of climbing.
Yeah. I mean, just incredible. And you watch that last sprint, and me and Lance were talking about this. The announcer's sitting there like, oh, well, Valverde's leading out the sprint. Somebody's going to come around him. And I'm sitting there thinking the whole time, like, nobody's going to come around him. He would kill himself to win this race at this point.
He actually, there were 4 together at the end. Valverde was on the front, the worst spot.
For the last, basically, 1K.
For the last 1K. But they were all
Nobody
shot.
could come around him.
They couldn't come around him.
Yeah.
They were just gassed because of what they'd already done to get there.
And I mean, he had Tom DeMille on wheel and could not come around him in the last 1K.
Yeah.
That's how strong he was in that race, is that a guy who puts out an FTP that would make most people roll their eyes was not able to come around him in that last 1K.
Yeah.
It was exciting.
Incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, freaking social media.
Everybody on your
got
next...
up yesterday morning.
Did it really for you?
Stop before
the
you...
very first thing I saw, it was like on Google. I was going to Google something up, and it's got all the little like news stories below that on my phone, and the very lead thing is Valverde wins.
Boom.
I'm like, Google.
Right.
Oh, I went straight to steep hill, non-spoiler, turn on the last 20K. I was like, I am not going to see anything. I'm not going to look at anything. I need to see this. So.
Yeah. Matt, one last thing.
Yeah, let's see. I put a couple of videos out recently. I think I did one kind of like intro power meters for triathletes, not geared towards a lot of our listeners, but more geared towards triathletes, just trying to kind of lay some groundwork for some future stuff. And then I think I'm going to have a couple videos drop here shortly. It's kind of same kind of thing where it's like, oh, I took some video of Robbie Halterman and I talked about this earlier, kind of doing our little fun triathlon thing. So I'll put that video out, and then kind of just some kind of like stuff explaining swimming, some swimming stuff coming up. And a lot of it's just like, hey, let's explain some things so that if we go into more detail later, that you have kind of like a base. So yeah, fun stuff on the YouTubes.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. My one last thing is, again, to congratulate those guys that got their upgrades. Well done. Yes. And tomorrow starts our Tuesday night Zwift rides on Zwift Dialed Cycling. I'm kind of bummed because I scheduled it a couple weeks ago and I had no idea that it was going to be the last night. I thought that the Trophy Cup was going to be done by then. Thanks, Lance, for that.
Because I screwed up the date. I did. That was my fault.
So I wanted to go out and watch Trophy Cup, but I've already committed to doing this. So anybody who's out there, we start on Tuesday. We're recording this on Monday. You're not going to hear this until Wednesday, so it would have been a day past. But the following Tuesday at 6:30 on Zwift, we are inviting anybody and everybody who wants to come ride with us to jump on. You can get more details by going to Strava and then checking out the Dialed Cycling group page there. And we post all the details, and then there will be some more information posted on the Dialed Cycling website. We have a calendar in there that'll have all the details and information for getting on, and Discord and how to communicate and just some other little nuances and basically what the ride will entail. So it makes for a lot of fun. It's a great workout. It will go until March, and everybody who did it last year loved it, and they came out the back end a lot stronger. So come out and join us.
Cool.
Could be fun.
See you there, Lance.
Join the orange train.
Why is everybody looking at me?
Lance is all about this.
You love indoor riding so much.
I'm going to have to reactivate my Zwift account. It's been down for like 8 months.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Funny. Lance heard the word Zwift, and all of a sudden all of my words just went to wow, 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 wow.
Indoor cycling, and Lance checks out. Yep.
All right. That is the end of another awesome podcast. Thank you for coming to listen, and come check us out at our Facebook page at Dialed Podcast, our Instagram page at Dialed Podcast, or email any of us at Dialed Podcast or info@dialedpodcast.com. You guys got any last things, last words, parting words? No?
Thanks for having us on.
Yep.
Thank you. Thanks for coming in for another one for podcast number 29.
What?
Yeah.
Almost at a big 3-0.
Jeez, we passed Evan in age.
I know. The podcast is older than I am now. Wow.
All right. Thanks again for checking in with us. We'll see you guys next week. Bye for now.